First of all, thank you, Henry, from South Africa. You've been working together with Mikskaar more than 10 years, and we're really, really happy that you agreed to give us a short interview, short, or maybe it's going to be a longer, but we're really grateful for that, and we appreciate your time joining us today. Ave is the main contact for the South Africa, and Ave is going to ask questions from you. And Henry is trying to give you some insight how they developed the market such a well manner in South Africa. And I think I can do only now that I open the meeting. And Ave, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. And hi, Henry. So I really appreciate that you took your time to join this Agri Network, which we have on monthly basis. And I'm also happy for the sun that you brought along today, because we are experiencing already autumn here, lower temperature and quite strong wind. And we really would do with some sunshine and higher temperatures. So thank you. Now, Henry, maybe can you recall when and how the cooperation between us started some years ago?
Good morning, Ava, and thanks to you folks from Mikskaar for inviting me. This is a huge honor for myself. And it's always nice to talk from a South African or an African perspective. You know, we sometimes get forgotten in the world market, I think. Yes, the cooperation started between 10 and 12 years ago. Hygrotech has always been in the nursery business. Our core part of our business is selling hybrid vegetable seed. And this has to be treated totally different from open pollinated varieties. It needs to be sown in a proper medium in polystyrene seed trays if you want to adhere to the principle of one seed, one transplantable plant. And this goes back to the mid-80s. And we've always been manufacturing a product called Hygromix, where we use peat moss as a base. And I started at Hygrotech in 1989, and we had a lot of problems with the peat we were using throughout the 90s and until about late 2000s. And we started experimenting with peat from other countries. We tried stuff from, I'm not going to name the countries, but from a lot of European countries and also Canada. And we found the Mikskaar bales from Estonia, and we tried them in our mixtures. And we also did a lot of experimental work, like water holding, porosity, how much oxygen is in the root zone. We measured root development. We weighed single plants, tomato plants, for instance, you know, cutting them off at root level, weighing the roots, working out the ratios between the roots and the vegetative part of the plant. And it was quite apparent from all these results that the Mikskaar peat would work the best in our Hygromix. And we do still feel that our Hygromix is the best quality product on the market at the moment in South Africa, or even let's say Southern Africa, as we manufacture a lot of product that goes as far as Kenya, and a lot that goes into the countries, of course, the SADC countries just north of us, because the transport is obviously always a challenge, and they at least are pretty close geographically. So yes, it's more than a decade now.
Mm-hmm. So good to hear that Hygromix rules in South Africa. But what do you think, were there any doubts or fears that you had at the beginning of our cooperation?
Yes, I think change is always difficult. I think it doesn't matter what you're changing. You know, if you're changing the restaurant you eat at, or you're changing a product in your manufacturing process, like in this instance when we had to start using the Estonia peat moss. But I think the fact that we did very good trials early on, and we did all these measurements, because if you measure, you know, otherwise you just guess. We were pretty comfortable bringing in the first container or two, and we used two harbors for the Mikskaar containers. We used Durban Harbor for the north, and we used Cape Town down south. What was surprising to us, pleasantly surprising, in a positive manner, was when we started using the Mikskaar bales, we found that each bale was consistent, the same as the next bale. In terms of weight, and when we opened the bales, they looked the same. So that was quite surprising to us, because we had other suppliers who we tried where the bales weren't consistent, and it differed per container even, inside the same container. So that was very pleasant to us. It makes the manufacturing process easier if you know what you're getting every single time.
Okay, so you brought out one good surprise, which is an advantage also of Mikskaar peat. And maybe you can name some other reasons why to prefer Mikskaar peat to other well-known brands from Europe and also from Canada.
Well, the big problem we had with the Canadian peat was inconsistency. Weight differences in bales which could differ by 50%, and of course a lot of sticks and stuff inside the bales. We ordered a specific bale from Mikskaar with a specific fiber length, and there's a reason for that, because it works for us. It works for our South African market. It also works consistently up north and also down south in South Africa, which is quite a huge country with different climatic conditions. And it's nice having a bale that works throughout the whole of South Africa. That means we don't have to bring in mixed containers. We can bring in the same container year after year, month after month after month. And we bring in, as you well know, every month we bring in containers from Estonia. That's the consistency is good. Our delivery time, the lead time to get the order on the water, maybe now with COVID, it's not always the case, but it comes on time. We know it's 6 to 8 weeks, so we can do our planning, we can plan our stock. So it's actually very easy from our side to do business with Mikskaar, because we know when we get the product, we know it's going to be the same. The pH is always the same. The weight of the bale is always the same. And the moisture consistency inside the bale, which is very important, is also always the same. I'm not sure how you guys get that right in your wet and snowy and cold winters, but the fact is you do, and that's enough to keep us very positive about using the product. And we're also venturing into the market, selling the bales direct to small-scale farmers and also to growers who want to make their own seedlings, who want to be in control of their own seedlings. So it's not just the Hygromix that we use the Mikskaar in. We are selling the bales as is to the end user, who then, are under our guidance, which we always give advice, manufacture their own Hygromix as such, or their own farm mix for their own seed trays.
Okay, so you gave some good words to our quality people, and I will pass it on to them because they do a great job indeed. And you mentioned that you use the same product all over South Africa. So maybe you can tell how you found this most suitable and best working, this universal product that would match the climatic conditions, the different climatic conditions of South Africa.
I think the main reason for this is that the fiber length is very consistent. It's very close to spec, so we know what we're getting, and we can advise accordingly to the nurseries that are using our product. Even if it's just the peat on its own, or if it's in the Hygromix, we can tell them what the irrigation schedule should be like. Because one of the most important factors in growing a good seedling, a good vegetable seedling, especially if you're growing expensive hybrid tomato or green pepper seeds, you can get problems in the root zone. You can get water-borne pathogens, Phytophthora, etc., Pythium, into your system. So if you have a good peat that drains well, but also has the capacity to hold water in the warmer times of the year, in some of our nurseries up north of South Africa, it gets up to 45 degrees temperature around about midday, and that can last till very late at night. It can still be way above 30. So you need peat that can also hold water in those circumstances. In other areas, we have winter rain where we have very little sunlight during the course of the day, like down south. There again, you have to manage your water, your irrigation frequency, and the amount of water you give per irrigation cycle. And because we know what Mikskaar gives us, what it offers us in terms of being able to hold water, and also to have enough oxygen in the root zone, that's a fine balance. But the fact that we know what we have makes it easier for our technical guys, and we service nurseries direct, where our salesmen go to the guys direct and discuss these things with the nurseryman or the manager of the nursery. And it just makes it easier. if you have consistency in your product you are supplying. It's like the well-known brand Coca-Cola. Coke always tastes the same, and we have expectancy that it will taste the same. And I think our clients who are buying the peat from us and who are buying the Hygrotech from us have the same expectancy. And we have to consistently supply the same product.
Okay, I know that Coca-Cola hasn't revealed its secret recipe, but maybe you can share with other customers exactly the recipe of the product you are using. So what makes it so universal?
Okay. Without going into too much detail, we obviously add micro and macronutrients in a certain balance, and this balance most probably can be googled on the internet. What a young seedling, vegetable seedling needs. So we try and put that into our Hygro mix in the right balance. We also add vermiculite, and we also add polystyrene, little round balls, and that's just to keep the root zone in the seed. So we use model 200s, 242s, just to make sure that we have enough oxygen in the root zone for optimum root development. We also we don't have to, as we used to in the past with the Mikskaar peat, we don't have to adjust the pH. The pH of the bales are precisely where we want them, around about 5.5. With what we add, the pH goes up to about 5.7, 5.86, and that is optimum for a seedling. And as I mentioned, we sow all the vegetable crops that can be sown in a seed tray, get sown in South Africa in our Hygro mix, and also in the raw peat where the guys are using it on their own.
Okay, and just a notice for the others who do not know exactly what this perfect structure size is that Henry is distributing in South Africa, then it's 0 to 10 millimeters.
Correct.
It has nanoparticles and also some greater ones for better root development.
Yeah, but that works for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as this is universal product, would you please list some of the crops that you use it for? I guess the list would be quite long, but still.
Well, it would obviously include all the brassicas. Brassicas are an important crop in South Africa and Southern Africa. Cabbage would be the largest. Yeah, just in South Africa alone, we're talking a crop that's about 300 million seeds get sown into in South Africa for own use. Then open field tomatoes, under protection tomatoes, the Dutch type cucumbers, which get grafted. Some of that goes into our Hygro mix. Open field peppers, which is a huge market in South Africa, and even cucurbits. With the price of the hybrid seed. You would get growers who prefer to have their butternuts and the very expensive pumpkins and the baby marrows, the zucchinis, also to go into seed trays, especially early in the season when the soil temperatures are too low for direct seeding. They would use seed trays for that. Seedless watermelon, sweet melon. Yeah, the list goes on. I think it's just beans and sweet corn that don't get planted in seed trays, and onions, which obviously get sown direct. But yes, the majority of vegetable crops that you can think of, especially the fine seeds, all go into seed trays in South Africa. And we have 25 to 30 very large nurseries in South Africa. Yeah, these crops are mostly sown at all these nurseries, and we are visiting all these nurseries. They are on our client list.
Okay, it's an honor to be the supplier of the peat. Now, could you please tell me what is the customer's biggest concern when they turn to you with a request of peat substrate, or which problem you have helped to solve?
If we have a lot of competition in South Africa, so there are other peat suppliers in South Africa as well. We do find the fact that our sales representatives understand the crops, which we have to sell the seed as well. It gives us a bit of an added advantage. If you're just selling the peat in South Africa, if you're a competitor, then they will only understand the peat. They don't always understand the crops that are being used, and what the grower wants when he transplants a seedling. We understand that better than our competitors, obviously. So when the companies turn to us, a nursery turns to us, or even a grower who's making his own seedlings turns to us, it's usually because he has transplant problems. We call it, when he transplants, the plant doesn't want to grow. It seems as if it's drying out. We understand that when a grower transplants a plant, he wants it to take. When we say take, that's just a term we use in South Africa. It means the roots must immediately grow out of the inverted pyramid that comes out of the seed tray. It's immediately growing to the soil, so you get new vegetative growth. So what we do in our Hygromix, we have stuff in there that helps this. We also have other chemical products that we sell, which you could dip the trays in, so you have a better take. It's no use having a seed tray with 200 cavities and you can only transplant 120 seedlings. You need to transplant 180 plus to get 90% plus transplantable plants to plant. So people turn to us when they have these kind of problems with transplanting and also disease incidents in the seed tray. So and the Mikskaar peat carries no pathogens. So that helps us tremendously. We're still competing with people mixing in bark, and that usually is a source of pathogens getting into their system. So we obviously advocate them not to mix in bark with the Mikskaar peat or with our Hygromix, which we want to keep it pathogen free. Yeah, that's how we get our clients to contact us, and we go and advocate that to guys who are not using our peat, obviously.
As you have clients throughout South Africa and quite many clients, maybe there are some or one who stands out from the crowd, which you are maybe proud of, that you can supply the peat of Mikskaar or Hygromix?
There are a couple. I don't think I should mention the names, but we have about 5 very large nurseries in South Africa. There might be some of them logged in right at this moment in time. Yes, there are a couple who exclusively are on our mix. They prefer it. And then, of course, I would say about 30% of the Hygromix we manufacture using the Mikskaar is exported to African countries. It's still a very immature market. Logistically, it's difficult to get the product into those countries, but we foresee that from your perspective and our perspective, to grow the business, we need to, it's going to grow a lot in SADC, in the African countries just north of our borders, as their markets become more sophisticated, as the infrastructure, gets better, the roads become, just more roadworthy. With that business is going to grow exponentially in the next decade or so, for sure.
Okay, so you predict that there will be some growth in your company, and maybe you can tell me so far what has been the most successful achievement during the years of our cooperation.
I just think the growth we are getting year on year. Last year was a little bit of we all know there was a slump worldwide, and it was caused by the COVID. A lot of people turned to cheaper alternatives. But I think the fact that we are moving away from just selling Hygromix, which was a traditional product which has been with us for 30 years. We are now moving into expanding our market into selling peat, the bales as is. It's cost savings, cost effective for us. We save a lot of labor, we save a lot of space. We're trying to sell the peat direct from the harbor to the nursery, and we'll be looking at not just the 0 to the 10 millimeter fiber length. We will be looking at other options now as well. We will be looking in future. We feel there might be a future to look at the enriched product that you guys have. So there's a lot of things we're thinking about. And we think that maybe even because our Hygromix compacts during transport, that we're looking to get a ready-to-use bale for Africa. So we're looking to introduce something like that to the African market to ease the use of the product for them, to make it easy to use, and obviously to guarantee success. We want them to be successful. We want them to be able to harvest fruit from the transplantable plants that they get. And that will cause them to come back to us for more product if they're successful at the end of the day, and they can sustain themselves. Because a lot of these small scale farmers grow firstly for their family so that they can eat, and for the community, and the excess product they then take to a market in the closest city or town and sell it over there. So yeah, we have a lot of aspirations to do better in Africa, and we think that the peat bales as an item, as a singular item, might be the better route than the Hygromix. We're very optimistic about that.
Okay, I am really glad to hear about these optimistic plans, and I will make the best from Mikskaar's side to help you in fulfilling your dreams. And could you please tell me what is the most important for you in business relationship?
Well, I think it's people like doing business with people. I think more so in agriculture. We find that people like talking often, discussions like this, and doing business with Mikskaar, we get a lot of contact from you guys, which is nice. We sometimes feel neglected by our other partners. We know that on the seed side and with some of the chemicals we do business with, we are very small percentages of the suppliers' business. It's nice feeling important, like I do right now. So we get good contact from you guys. You act very quickly to our inquiries, to our requests, and we've got a lot of free material from samples from you guys to trial. That always helps a lot. So communication, looking at the product, which I've mentioned, the consistency is excellent. We get full containers. There's never a problem. The pH is always the same. The weight is always the same. Fiber length is always the same. So what we ask for, we get, and the response is very quick. The communication is very clear. So, it's a combination of many factors that makes it very easy to do business with Mikskaar, and also obviously pleasurable. And I think very importantly is that it's all South African companies. It's like it when people from overseas countries come and visit and support their product at ground level. And we've had the one visit, which was excellent. We get very few guys or ladies who are willing to venture to the very dangerous South Africa, but it's not that dangerous. It's a very pleasant place. And yes, we will always invite people from our supplier side, or anybody else for that matter, to come visit South Africa. If there are any of your clients who would like to visit South Africa, they would be very welcome. You can put them in contact with myself, and we would be willing to take them, show them our manufacturing plant, and even take them to one or two clients, like we did to your people who came over a couple of years back.
So we most definitely need to come back to your place. Let's see how this COVID situation supports for us in this plant. Is there something you would like to point out what you have learned during the years of our cooperation?
Yes, I think it's very important for any company that has an offering to be very positive about their own product. They must believe in their own product, because if they do, then the person they're talking to feels that, catches the energy. And it's very apparent from the beginning that every single person I've spoken to from Mikskaar believes in the product that they are selling. They are very enthusiastic about the company they work for. They're proud about the company they work for, and that rubs off. And it's I think successful people, and I think Hygrotech is a successful company. We like to associate ourselves with successful suppliers, successful partners in business. So that's something I learned from the Mikskaar people that I've worked with over the years, and even during my visit to Estonia, which was unbelievable. Is that it's you guys are a successful company, and there's always a reason for a company being successful. And talking to you guys, talking to the people in Mikskaar, it obviously rubs off a bit. And hopefully some of our success and our enthusiasm rubs off on you guys. So yes, it's obviously it's the business we do together is mutually beneficial, and I think that sort of sums it up.
So thank you, Henry. We feel quite likewise. So
thank you.
You give us positive energy, and you motivate us the same way.
Big pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now, and maybe to close the interview, then the last question from me would be, if you could give one advice to your customer, then what would it be?
You mean to the Hygrotech customer, or to from a book's perspective?
Maybe then you will give two answers.
No, I think before you venture into a business or into it doesn't matter what business, you need to do your homework. You need to have a lot of information. You need to have you need to get this information at ground level, preferably yourself, which is what we do as Hygrotech. And I even myself still make time to visit nurseries, and I walk into the dusty area where they're busy mixing their mix and doing what they're doing and seeing how they're doing it. So my advice would be to make sure you have the information you need before you venture into a business, or to try and sell peat. If I want to sell peat into Tanzania or into Kenya, for instance, you need to know what is in the market at that moment in time. How successful is that market? What kind of yields are they getting? What are the crops you are working with? So information to me is extremely important. And you need accurate information. You need to verify the information you get before you can make any business decisions. And that is what we're doing when we market Mikskaar peat. We are very successful in Zambia at the moment. We know precisely at this moment in time how many seeds of hybrid tomatoes are being sold in Zambia, what companies, what varieties. If we did not know that, we would not be able to manufacture our Hygromix and sell it in Zambia. So my advice would always be, get your information, do your homework before you jump in. Jumping in without doing your homework can be very risky. That would be my advice.
Yeah, thank you. But in terms of the customers that come to you,
product knowledge. We know our Hygromix very well. We know the Mikskaar peat very well. We do in-house training with all our products, with all our sales guys. We have good technical guys in the company, which we invested in. And at our branches up north, we are very close to the borders of our neighboring countries, and we have a lot of walk-in clients. We have people at those branches who can speak the language of the clients who are coming from Zimbabwe or Mozambique. So that's also very important. We understand the culture of the people we're working with. So we have positioned ourselves to sell to large-scale nurseries doing 200 million seedlings a year. But we've also positioned ourselves strategically where it's important. We also have a social responsibility to be able to do business with a small-scale grower who walks into our shop. He buys 5 grams of cauliflower seed. He buys 1 bag of Hygromix. He needs to be just as successful as a large commercial nursery. And if we can get that balance right, then we are doing what we should be doing. That's the right thing.
I think this was a very good advice from your side to the customers to use the seeds with our substrate, which works best, as you have.
We also have a full range of our seed trays. So we sell the seed tray, we sell the Hygromix or the peat. We even sell the fertigation, and we sell the seeds. So we have a full offering, especially to the small-scale grower. It's actually even more important to be successful with a small-scale grower because they usually don't have the information. They cannot Google the information. So we need to give it to them at our depot counter where the sale actually gets done. And we try and be very successful there, and we are, because we get a lot of repeat business from these small-scale growers. And with the large nurseries, you have a different, more professional approach. You know, we maybe sometimes do a presentation and we give them very high-tech information, but we need to be able to have a different offering for all your different types of clients that you get.
I also know, Henry, that Hygrotech is actually you have created a community, as it's like a educational information you're sharing through magazine. How long
Yes.
has this been published already?
The first Hygrotech forum was a black and white 6-pager, which was published, I think, in early 1991. Very indistinct black and white photos, not very good. And it has now evolved into a very high-tech, very technical magazine. And I've actually published a very good article on Mikskaar after my visit to Estonia in one of the magazines. I think it was 2018. It's a very high-tech magazine. We try and be very technical. We also try and show pictures of the growers with nurseries we work with. People want to read about people. And yes, this is now, it's 30 years old this year. And we are actually in the process of planning our next forum, which should come out mid to late November. And yes, hopefully it will be better than the previous one. We always try and surpass our previous forum with the one that's on its way.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. You are actually educating the community and sharing the value of these things. It's very, very important in consistency.
Yes.
You
Yes,
said so many good things before for us, and I'm personally very inspired about this. What you said about Mikskaar and our team. So we are really, really happy that you had time to come here and give us this very inspiring interview. I didn't think that you were going to say so many good words, but what I brought out, I brought out for myself is that in agribusiness generally, as you said, Henry, is very important to measure. So I think it's in every business, what can be measured can be improved.
Yes, yes. To measure is to know. And in the nursery, you have to measure your EC, you have to measure your pH, you have to measure the amount of water going into your system, the amount of water coming out. It's very important. And yeah, for me, it's been a very, very nice discussion. Although I was very nervous, I'm feeling a bit better now. But just to reciprocate the honor you guys have given me by inviting me to do this today, I would ask Ava if she feels like writing. You're very welcome to publish a page from Mikskaar's side, which we will then put into our forum that comes out in November. So, and if you want to do a 2-pager, I can be convinced about that as well. So there you go. Thank you very much.
It's a nice offer from your side. And when I thought of a conclusion, then in my opinion, you, Henry, and Hygrotech, you offer a perfect symphony to your customers. So everything is in tune, and yes, it works out really well.
Yes, I think symphony is a good description. Yes, the product lines complement each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it does. Yeah.
And in a way, you give your customers the best they can achieve.
Yes. Yes, if we have a customer who phones us and said he's harvested 150 tons tomatoes and he's had a 90% first-class pack out, we are extremely happy, especially if we know that seedling came out of our Hygro mix, because a weak seedling would not grow over a 6-month period and give him that kind of yield per hectare. So it starts very small with a very small seedling with a seed that has to germinate. So small beginnings, and if you do it correctly, you get the big results at the end of the day, 6 to 9 months down the line.
Yes, I think we have done, or we have spent a nice hour with Henry, giving his or sharing his ideas and giving really good advice to our customers and personally to myself. And I think in case there are no other questions or no other input from our customers, maybe we can close it up.
Yes, I think the same, Ave, and I'm really appreciating you, Ave, as well, because you had really good questions, which are really important to to everyone who are doing actually business in this sector. And I would like to announce that the next Agri Network will be again in October. So we'll be there as well. Be aware when we are sending newsletters and join the next Agri Network. We are going to share this interview with all the people who registered and couldn't join today. But really appreciating Henry taking time. And most biggest greetings to South Africa. We just had a meeting with our team members, and they reminded South Africa as something really amazing place. So it should be in our dream list to visit as well, as a person, I mean.
Welcome anytime. Welcome anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and see you next time in October. Bye.